This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
All right, everyone, I hope you're all having a great day. Now, Anthony Joshua, he spoke to Eddie Hearn on Eddie Hearn's own podcast, No Passion, No Point. I haven't checked out any of the episodes or anything like that yet, so no idea if it's any good or not. But either way, there's an article here, and I'll put it in the description box as always, where Anthony Joshua, he says some things about him losing to Andy Ruiz Jr. and, of course, what he needs to do to get those belts back. So we'll go straight into his statement, and then, of course, we'll have a little chat about it. So Anthony Joshua's statement, which opened about how he lost, or how he was feeling after he lost to Andy Ruiz Jr. Anthony Joshua's statement. I think I had to grieve and ask myself all the questions that you would expect. People say, you lost. I call it a blip. I can't wait to get back in there and fight him. Every time I fought a champion, I have risen to the occasion. I need to start taking this approach to my fights where I'm a bit more lively. I know I'm capable of it. There is too much at stake. If I go in there where I'm switched on, a time like the Ruiz fight where I'm so relaxed, that might be the difference. So that is Anthony Joshua's statement. Now, I'm pretty sure that's not how he said it word for word. That's just how the article put it. But to read between the lines of what it is that Anthony Joshua is saying here is that, first of all, where he had to grieve. Now, I'm not saying that he sat in a dark room and cried himself to sleep every night for a little while. I have no idea. Listen, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I have no idea. At the end of the day, if he did, he's only a human being, right? So if he did, cool. Now, for him to be grieving, obviously that means that loss hurt him. Now, when he counteracts that as well, where he says, people say that you lost, but I call it a blip. Now, this goes back to quite a couple of weeks ago, when I said about Anthony Joshua, that even when he wins, he doesn't really talk about it too much. It's always about what's next. What new things can he add to his toolbox, if you like, going forward to progress to where he wants to be? Because right now, he is not the finished article. He said it multiple times himself. You have to remember, he's only had 23 fights. Think of how many fighters out there who's only had 23 fights and already got the resume of an Anthony Joshua, a unified heavyweight champion of the world, multi-millions in the bank, and arguably the hottest commodity in boxing. No 23 fights. That is some feat. Now, for him to go on about how he calls it a blip, yes. You see, when you win, you just carry on. When you lose, you have to assess and adjust. Okay? Anthony Joshua has always said this, that at some point I will lose, but I want to ask the question, which is, when I lose, first of all, how are people going to react to me losing? Second of all, can I bounce back from a loss? So, of course, when he's saying that he's having to grieve and he's asking himself the tough questions, it's quite simply that. Can I bounce back? On December the 7th, we're going to find out. And if he does lose, then he'll just readjust and go again. Okay, he'll just have to build himself back up again for a while, which ultimately he will do. And, of course, being a Brit, we all support him, of course, much like we support Tyson Fury, Dillian White, etc., etc. Now, with Anthony Joshua calling it a blip, it's just a momentary, okay, fine, I took a loss. But that loss isn't going to define me. Let's see what happens in the rematch. Now, again, he goes on about him being a little bit lively towards the rematch. In other words, being pumped for it, being excited for it. Maybe even being a little bit nervous about it. Because as he said against Andy Ruiz Jr., he was relaxed. That is pretty much an admittance that he overlooked Andy Ruiz Jr. And quite a few things would point to it before the fight that maybe he was. Of course, it was a short notice fight, but not so short notice that he didn't have time to even look at who it was that Andy Ruiz Jr. is. We did hear some stories that he was up till early hours in the morning the night before the fight studying Andy Ruiz Jr. Which, if that is true, then you have to ask yourself the question, why didn't you do that at any point during the 5 weeks of your camp? Why wait until the last day? Anyway, now, a lot of fighters say this, that they have to go into a fight feeling a little bit nervous. That's when you get the best out of them. That's when you find your inner strength to overcome certain things that are going to happen. Because like anything in life, if you're nervous about something, you're apprehensive. And when the reality is there, 9 times out of 10, it's never as bad as what you think it's going to be, is it? So maybe this is the kind of thing that a lot of fighters talk about, that they're nervous about it. Okay, they're not nervous about not winning each and every round. They're nervous about maybe getting embarrassed, getting knocked out, not getting the win, not performing well, quitting. Okay, there's so many different things that fighters will be asking themselves that question of. And I'm pretty sure that now Anthony Joshua, he has actually taken this loss. He is going to be nervous. I don't want to be losing again. Not straight away. If I'm going to lose, just let me get my belts back, become a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, and then maybe a few fights down the line, maybe take another loss. Okay, but to take 2 losses back to back, not always good. As we've seen with David Price when he lost to Tony Thompson, he went straight back in there and lost again, and his career has been pretty much under the radar ever since. I think it's probably a fair thing to say. So Anthony Joshua doesn't want to take a loss straight away, and especially in Saudi Arabia, there's going to be a huge amount of eyes on this fight, of course. I know a lot of people are not happy about Saudi Arabia. At the end of the day, a ring is a ring. It doesn't matter where it is. It just happens to be, it's going to be in Saudi Arabia, and he's going to get paid a whole crap load of money. Okay, probably his highest payday of his entire career, even though he's going into this fight as challenger. Now, he talks about how he always rises when he fights a champion. Well, yeah, because he's beat Charles Martin, he's beat Vladimir Klitschko, and he's beat Joseph Parker. Okay, now he's going to have to fight Andy Ruiz Jr, who is currently the champion. So he's no stranger to being the challenger, whereas a lot of champions, they've had one fight where they're the challenger, they then become champion, and that's pretty much their lot. But Joshua, he's had to go in there to fight against 3 champions already, and this will be his 4th champion. So, as I said, he's no stranger to the rodeo of being a challenger. Either way, listen, we have to wait and see what happens on December the 7th, but going by what Anthony Joshua was talking about here, he's pretty much saying that he did overlook Andy Ruiz Jr. And this time, he's going to have that little bit of a fear factor, and he's going to be motivated. He's going to be lively, is his own words. But anyway, of course, you drop your thoughts below. Do you see it as a momentary blip? A lot of people who don't like Joshua will say, well, we always knew that he was garbage and he was stiff, and it was only a matter of time before he took a loss, and now he has. This just proved it. He lost to a fat man. Okay, but every fighter takes a loss at some point in their career, don't they? And if they don't, there's probably a reason why they haven't. Either they are exceptional or they've been guided in the right way. Whereas Anthony Joshua, he's been taking a step-up fight ever since his 15th professional fight. Facts. Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.